Hey guys, this is Matt from RestoringNurses.com, and this is the Restoring Nurses podcast. Thank you for joining me today. I really wanted to, this is the second episode, I wanted to dive into the 5 domains of self-care and explain what they are, how they matter, and begin to get into what that process is. However, I've been receiving some pushback. Now, some of it was not really... they weren't attacks against me, but people questioning whether or not self-care really matters, if it does any good, is it worth it, does it mean anything? And the answer to that is yes, it is worth it. It does mean something. It is valuable. It is a real thing. But I wanted to address why it matters for nurses, especially in today's nursing reality. I mean, here's the deal. Nursing right now is crazy. It is unlike anything I've ever seen. I've been in healthcare for 26 years. I've been a nurse for 22 of those years, and I have never seen it as bad as it is now. Certainly, there have been ups and downs in the way that nurses were treated, in staffing concerns, and a bunch of other things. But never has any of this been as bad as it is right now. Now, some would say because of that, some have said, because of that self-care doesn't matter. Somebody, a nurse that I respect on TikTok, said that self-care can't fix moral injury. I'm going to talk about that on a future episode, but today I want to talk about why self-care matters, especially now. Nursing is on fire. It's like a house that is burning down, and unfortunately, nurses are inside that house. Self-care can't fix that. In fact, self-care isn't even attempting to fix that. That's not what self-care is about. Self-care is about fixing you. So right now, nursing is on fire, and I don't mean a good thing. You know, I know these days fire means a good thing. I mean that it's burning. And it's like a house that is burning down and the nurses are stuck inside. And here's the reality. When your house is on fire, the maintenance doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your grass has been mowed, if the paint is fresh, or the floors have been swept. When your house is on fire, those things don't matter. And right now, nursing is a house that is burning down. However, that doesn't mean that self-care is not important, because self-care is not about the house. Self-care is about you. Self-care is not about fixing healthcare. I know that the issues in self-care are bigger than I can fix by myself, and there are lots of people that are attacking that, and I support them. I'm here to help you get better. Self-care isn't about fixing healthcare. It's about fixing you. The reality is that self-care, taking better care of you, doesn't do anything for the nursing industry, but it does a lot for you. Here's the deal. Here's the problem. See, let's say we woke up tomorrow and all of our current concerns with nursing were gone. We had fixed everything, okay? And then what? We'd fixed all the problems, but guess what? We're still there. There's a podcast that I love to listen to, the John Deloney Show. He's part of the Ramsey Network. He's a licensed mental health counselor, I believe. I don't know. He's got a couple of PhDs, but Dr. John Deloney, his podcast is amazing. And one of the things that he says often is, wherever you go, you're there. And the problem when we change things, we go to a different job, we get in a different relationship, we change things in our lives thinking that it's going to fix all of our problems, when the reality is all we've done is take those problems and move them into a new situation, because we are the problem. Now, I am not saying that nurses are the problem in healthcare, not even a little bit. We have contributed some. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that even if we woke up tomorrow and all of your complaints about self-care were gone, everything was fixed, you still would not be well. Nurses who are not taking care of themselves now would still be unwell. And here's the reality. I've been a nurse for 22 years, and nurses have always done a bad job of taking care of themselves. Now, I know there are some nurses out there, some of the nurses I'm getting pushback from are relatively new within the last few years. And some nurses, and I'm not knocking them because of their lack of experience or whatever, but some people think that COVID or the current situation in nursing is the reason that nurses are unwell. Well, what about the 20 years that I was a nurse before COVID? Nurses were unwell then too. What about in the year 2000 when I graduated and nurses were unwell? We don't take good care of ourselves. It's just a fact. And if we continue to do that, then things are just going to get worse. Self-care is about fixing you, not about fixing healthcare. And let's break it down a little bit. Physical health. Nursing is extremely demanding physically. 12-hour shifts that you spend most of your time on your feet, high incidences of back injuries and other work-related injuries. Nursing is physically demanding. Well, everybody else on the planet understands that if I take better care of my body, then I will be better prepared for the physical demands of my job. A professional athlete, football. I love football. You can sort of see back there is a Buccaneers, a big jug. Anyway, because I love the Bucs and I love football. A professional athlete knows that if they're going to be prepared to endure the physical demands of their sport, then they have to train their body. They have to take care of their body. Love him or hate him, Tom Brady has had the longest career in football history. The man is nearly 50 years old. He's 45, 46 years old, something like that. That's like 100 years in football years, okay? And yet he is still performing at an extremely high level. And I don't just say that because I'm a Bucs fan. It's a reality. 2 years ago, he won the Super Bowl. This year, they went to the playoffs. This coming season, they're another favorite to go at least to the playoffs and maybe all the way. And a big part of that is because Tom Brady is the man, all right? He's only able to continue that long career because he has taken meticulous care of his body. Physical health for a nurse is the same. Now, we don't think of ourselves as athletes, but we know that we have a demanding job. And I hear over and over again from folks that they don't do self-care because on their days off, they're so tired. And part of that is the physical demands of the job. I am not going to deny that. But part of that is also the fact that we've taken such terrible care of our bodies. Our bodies are so out of shape. And hey, I get it. I'm there. Okay? Those of you that are listening to this podcast audio, you don't know, or if you haven't seen me on TikTok or Facebook or whatever, I am markedly overweight, but I'm working on that. I'm working to eat better, I'm drinking more water, and I'm exercising regularly. The physical demands of our job often spill all over into our off days, so that we're too tired or too sore to do anything else. Some of that can be combated by taking better care of our physical body, which is self-care. Mental health. It is no secret that nursing takes an extreme toll on us mentally and emotionally. Do you not think that being better off mentally, that having your mental health in a good place is going to make you more prepared to handle the mental and emotional strains that come at you as a nurse? Not only that, they will make it easier for you to leave that junk at work. Years ago, I had a nurse, I'm walking through the halls in the ER, and she asked me, "How do you do it?" I didn't know what she meant. So I asked her, I'm like, I don't know what you mean. And she said, "You're always so calm." Now, some of that is personality. I'm kind of a chill kind of guy most of the time. Some of that, however, is the fact that when I leave work, when I clock out, I leave work. I don't carry it home with me. I don't go home and talk to my wife about it. Spiritual health. Spiritual health brings resilience. Regardless of your religious affiliation or lack thereof, if you believe yourself to be a spiritual person, which studies have shown that the vast majority of Americans do believe themselves to be spiritual, regardless of religious affiliation or even in the absence of religious affiliation. They still believe themselves to be spiritual. And that being true, spiritual health brings resilience. We've never needed resilience more than right now. Relational health. There have been times in my career where the only thing that got me through were the relationships that I had. My wife, she picked up slack. She stood in the gap when there were times when I just didn't have it in me. She was a sounding board and a safe place when I was in toxic situations and just needed someone to listen. My kids, I never unloaded on my kids when I was stressed. That you don't do that to a child or even a teenager. But they were a place I could go. A date night with my daughter, or working on a project with my son, or going to band performances or dance recitals. Those things allowed me to forget about whatever was wrong with work, friends, and even my teammates. Those relationships, if they were not healthy, could not have been the release or the support that they were. And lastly, financial health. Sometimes the very reason that people stay in a toxic situation is because they simply can't afford to leave. I've been there. I've been in situations that were toxic, and I couldn't get out. I had to stay in that job or find another job that paid what I was making. And at the time, I was struggling to find a job that would pay the same thing. A big part of that was because I had just piles and piles of debt. I had to make them payments. So financial health often keeps us in a toxic situation that we might otherwise want to get out of. So what's the point of all of that? The point is that, no, I get it. I understand that healthcare, nursing is a house on fire, and self-care is not going to fix that. Self-care will not put out the fire, and it will not repair the house. But I don't care about the house right now. I'm a nurse, and I love nursing, and I want to see these things get fixed. My focus, however, is on nurses. You see, nurses are inside that house, and if a firefighter show up to the house and their only concern is putting out the fire, and they give no concern for who might be inside that fire, then what happens to the people inside that fire? I'm thankful for those people, those nurses that are out there fighting to try and improve nursing, to fix the issues within nursing. They're fighting hard, and I'm proud of them, and I am grateful for them. But just because there is a fight that needs to be fought, a fire that needs to be put out in our industry, doesn't mean that we can't and shouldn't take care of the very nurses that work within that industry. So yeah, self-care, it's not going to fix all the problems in healthcare. But if all those problems got fixed and we don't learn how to take care of ourselves, then none of it matters, because we'll still be unwell at the end. So my prayer is that the issues in healthcare and nursing would get fixed, that we would come to some real positive solutions to these problems. But at the same time, I want to see nurses healed. I want to see nurses learning to take better care of themselves, becoming healthier in all of the 5 domains of self-care, which I will talk about next time. I kind of briefly mentioned them during this episode. Next time, I will talk about all 5 of them, what they are, what they mean, and why they matter. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of this podcast, and then go check out restoringnurses.com and download your free self-care guide today, because yes, nursing is on fire, But you need to take care of you while we try and fix everything that's wrong with our industry. I love you guys. Take care. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. The Restoring Nurses podcast is brought to you by the Restoring Nurses Network. Within the Restoring Nurses Network, we are building a library of courses and tools that you can use to learn how to take better care of yourself and to actually do it. In addition to that, we also are building a community of like-minded people that can provide the encouragement, at times even the accountability required for all of us to take better care of ourselves. And lastly, coaching for those times when you just need a little more information or a little more focus, a little extra nudge to reach your self-care goals. I'd encourage you to go and check out the Restoring Nurses Network at restoringnurses.com/network. Love you guys. Have a great day.